Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. You know, y'all are used to the vlogs and the makeup and all that, but I'm doing a podcast today with my friend Armelle. I've really been wanting to do like this thing on my channel where I talk about like different things. It could be like serious things to very like non-serious things like music, mukbangs, like just stuff like that. And I'm collabing with my friend Armelle because she has a podcast called the Layers Podcast, and she's gonna tell y'all a little bit about it. It's the best podcast ever, so go watch it right now. I'm gonna put the link in the description so y'all can go you listen to it because you're gonna need it. Like, it's essential. So go ahead, girl.
Essential. Hey y'all, my name's Armelle. Like Dina said, I have a podcast called Layers. And basically with the layers, I just dive deep into life, like peel through the layers, all the things people don't talk about, and just connect that to spirituality. Like, I believe that God is relevant in everything that we do. So you see that in the podcast, like you see how God is relevant to every aspect of your life. And it's just a journey. I walk with you, I'm walking, like everybody's on a journey. So
Facts.
if you think you need that, actually,
Not if you think.
Not if you think.
Not if you think.
You need it. So go listen.
Go ahead and
it's on every platform, so you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor.
And follow her on Instagram because she gonna post. Her Instagram is very aesthetically pleasing. Like, you have to get into it, you know?
The Layers Podcast on Instagram. So, on my podcast, we're starting a new series called My Response Is. The last episode was basically like your response to God's character, who he is as a person, his love, him sending Jesus for us, you know, just a little intro to my response. So today we just want to talk about like our response to, you know, everyday life issues we may face as college students, Black African
girl. I want to start off by like talking about peer pressure. So I really feel like going into college, peer pressure is like the #1 thing that will be to your detriment. Like, yeah, like not studying, not doing your work, all that stuff is like bad in general because like you know it's bad because you're there for school. But like peer pressure, like if you don't know how to respond to peer pressure, you will actually like suffer. Like, you will make yourself suffer. Like,
suffer is crazy.
No,
but
you will actually
true,
no,
true.
you will make yourself suffer because peer pressure, I'm talking about like even peer pressure to not do schoolwork. Oh, let's do this instead of doing schoolwork. Oh, let's go here instead of doing schoolwork. Oh, like, dude, you have to like remember why you went to school. Like, even not even for your parents' sake, for yourself. Like, do you want to be successful? Like, do you want to be like, because, and I understand like college is not the only way to be successful, but if you're not like actively trying to find a different route other than college, like, I mean, I know people, they do like, they started real estate, or people who are like child actresses and all that stuff, like they went the completely different route. But it's like, if college is your only like, you know, way into like making sure that you're able to make money like for yourself on your own, then just be serious about it, because trying to go to college and then doing everything everybody else is doing is just, it's not gonna be,
it's not the move.
It's not the move.
It's not the move.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that like doing what everyone else is doing is bad. Well, on certain occasions, because it's like, me personally, I like to have fun. I like to do my thing. I like to be my friends. I like to look cute. I like to, you know. But like, I feel like there's a line when it comes to certain things. It's just like, if you know that like you can't do this or you shouldn't do this, like just don't do it. And it's like, I feel like you can even be in the atmosphere of everyone else doing something, but that doesn't mean you have to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say that my response to that is to just remember like who I am like in Christ, because I honestly feel like if I didn't know who I was and whose I was, like I would actually fall into peer pressure really badly. But I can say wholeheartedly. I do a very good job of not really giving into peer pressure. Like, that's one thing that I really am so grateful for. Me coming to college, like, I'm not gonna lie though, when I first got to college, when I first got to college, it was kind of hard, but I honestly do feel like after, you know, finding, you know, my way, I can just,
you can push through.
I can push through, and I am pushing through, like, and honestly, not giving into peer pressure, like, makes me feel better about myself. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like
your self-worth.
Yeah, like, not that I think I'm better than other people, but it's just like, when it comes to certain things, I do feel like, oh my gosh, like, girl, I'm so proud of you. Like, me talking to myself, I'm so proud of you. Like, yeah.
I'd say my response to peer pressure, I was literally gonna say what you said. Just know who you are. Remember who you are, because I feel like a lot of times we like to, as college students, we like to, or not we, let me speak for myself. I really like to, like, compromise, to say, like,
that's
maybe, compromise, like, okay, if I do this, like, maybe they'll like me, or maybe like to sustain a friend group or sustain a friendship, like, I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm doing everything for the sake of that friend group or that friendship. And I talked a lot about this in my people pleasing episode, so if you haven't listened, go listen. But like, I tend to people please a lot, so when it comes to peer pressure, it's just like, I just do it for the sake, like, they want to have fun, I don't want to ruin their fun, so let me just go. But then it's just like, just ruin their fun. Why? Like, it doesn't benefit you to compromise yourself for the sake of other people, because that other person is not gonna get you your degree. That other person is not gonna make your money. That other person will not die.
They're not gonna take you to heaven,
right? That other person, like, they really can't do anything for you. As tight as y'all think y'all are,
that's facts.
They're not doing anything for you. So just put yourself first, like, really, when it comes to college, and put yourself first, as in, you know what you want. Because it can also be confusing when you don't know what you want and you're just trying to discover all the things there is. And it's just like, you really need to be clear and, like, ask God, like, who, if you don't know who you are, like, that needs to be your prayer point. Who am I? Like, who have you, God, called me to be? What is my purpose in life? So that you know how to go about that. Because the only reason I'm able to make the decisions I make and move in the way I move is because I know what God has called me to do. I know the person He wants me to be, and how that looks like in this atmosphere, in this
society.
You know.
And honestly, when it comes to, like, what you talked about with, like, ruining their fun, quote unquote, honestly, you don't even have to ruin their fun, like, because at the end of the day, like, everybody is their own person. Just because, like, you're not gonna do something that they're gonna do, like, I wouldn't necessarily call it ruining their fun, but I will say that it's very important to have, like, people around you that, like, value the fact that you're not going to fall into peer pressure. Because I feel like it's a different situation whenever, like, you're with people and it's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that, and they start bashing you for it, and they just make you feel, like, uncomfortable and left out and all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, you should and can be surrounded by like-minded people who have the same goals, visions, and are trying to go in the same direction as you, the same walk as you. But at the end of the day, like, life is not black and white like that. There's a lot of gray areas. So if you are in a situation where, like, the people near and dear to you or the people you surround yourself with are not necessarily, like, on the same path you're on, I feel like it's still very important to make sure they respect the fact that you're, like, not gonna fall into peer pressure. Because it's like, they should be able to be like, oh yeah, Dina's not gonna do that because I know blah blah blah, but that doesn't mean, like, they're gonna stop doing it. It's just like, they even feel kind of encouraged that you're not gonna do it, so, like, they respect that. Or, I know Armelle's not gonna do this, so blah 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 blah, and we're just gonna leave it at that, instead of, like, you know, like, trying to pressure you even more, or like bashing it for it and all that. And
like you said, like, them seeing you say, like, oh, I'm not gonna do this, but, like, I can still hang with y'all, I can still be a friend. I feel like that sets an example. Like, that sets not just an example of, like, how do I even say it? It's like, I just feel like how you said it motivates. It
encourages them.
Yes. Like, just see yourself as Like, I see myself as a leader everywhere I go. So that goes along with like the decisions I make, the way I walk, the way I talk, like everything. So you might think that people are judging you when you're really just inspiring them. So if you're the type to overthink, because I know that was me at some point, like I'll overthink when it comes to making these decisions. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I say I don't want to do this, like everybody's gonna hate me, this and this and that. Like, you really don't know what's going through their minds. Like, you could really be the influence, you could really be the person that, for example, let's say it's someone that doesn't know God. Like, you could be the person to bring them closer to God. And not just that, like even with schoolwork, oh, I noticed Armelle doesn't do this, but her grades are flying and I'm in academic probation. So what
academic
so what should I do? So what should I do? And it's like, you set that example. And another thing that, like you said, is how you have to find the right group of people. Like, one of my mentors told me that you had to treat friendships like dating, because like coming into college is all about new connections, new venture out. Everybody's trying to meet people, everybody's trying to talk to everybody, and I feel like you can't quickly assume that, oh, this person, just because we had one good conversation, like this is my person, yeah, this is my friend forever, we're gonna be tight, or just because y'all went to one party together, you think that person will take care of you outside of
like that
scenario. Outside of that scenario. So it's just like, treat friendships like dating. Like, you still need to get to know people, their morals, their values. Like, college has really taught me that not everybody grew up the same. So you're meeting people, you're thinking they're just normal in the head. I mean, everybody's normal. Let me not say that. Everybody's normal, but what's normal to me is not normal to other people.
Come on.
So you really have to come up with that mindset and remember, like, they might do some unusual things and you're just like, what is going on?
I kind of like I kind of like the fact that like everybody grew up differently, because I feel like it's definitely allowed me to get out of the bubble though, because I feel like everybody being like raised in a different environment, different household, and then like now, like imagine like you have roommates, like you're living together. Like my roommates are all like my good friends, and it's just like, yeah, we grew up like in the same, how do I vibe? I don't know. I don't know the word like vibe, because we're all Nigerian, right? So we grew up, like, y'all know, like there's this uniform way that like, you know, African parents raise their kids, kind of, but like there's little things that's just like, oh my gosh, like you do this or you do that, and it's just so different. And like I kind of like that, because it allows you to kind of get out of the like stuck in your ways type of mindset, or like, and you don't even have to be stuck in your ways to be able to be like, oh my gosh, like that's so interesting that you do that. It's just one of those things where it's like you're like growing. It's just like, wow, like it's dawning on you, like everybody is really different, everybody's life is different, everybody's family, everything is just different, mindsets are different. The kind of conversations that I have with my roommates, like mindsets, everything is so different, and whenever you bring it together, it's just like, wow, beautiful. It is.
Yeah, you can actually create something very big with like the diversity of the different mindsets and the different people you meet. What would you say your response is to the way you grew up, like the way your parents brought you up to be, the culture, the mindset, and whatever, when it comes to like meeting or mixing with the new cultures and the new everything that you face? Like, what would your response to that be? Like, thank you, parents, or maybe that was it.
Honestly, I will have to say that my response is like, thank you and wow. I don't want to put every African parent in this like generalized, you know, kind of way that they raise their kids, but like y'all know, like the stories you hear about like parents, like I don't even know like how to describe it, like parents like bullying their kids, or like, you know, using words like stupid and like, you know, like just talking down on their kids, like your typical like harsh, like my way or the highway type parents.
Yeah.
And I genuinely do feel like, and I'm very grateful that my parents were never like that. I mean, yes, when I was younger, I used to have an attitude and be all in my feelings when I used to get beat. Okay, but like it was deserved because I used to be bad, but not no more. We thank God. We thank God. But yeah, I'm just very grateful that like they kind of raised me the way they did, because I was introduced to a lot of different people, cultures, places, like since I was born, basically, like, you know. So I just feel like they kind of groomed me in that way for me to be able to go out into the real world in college, or just in general, like if I'm not at home and I'm able to like have like value of what I know from culture and like biblical things. Like I'm able to like use what I was taught and how I was raised to like apply that to real life. Like I don't know if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
I'm able to like go out and be like, oh, like this experience when I was younger, or this experience when I was in high school, or this experience like in my house taught me this and the third about like this in the real life, like in the real world, you know.
Yeah. And
I honestly do feel like because of the way I was raised, like I have a very good I literally don't know how to put it into words, but I just, you know, like I have a good awareness, maybe awareness of just like how life works. Like I know how to like move around in the world. Like I know how, I wish I had the correct terminology to be able to describe it, but it's just like I'm very grateful because of my life experiences, like growing up. Honestly, like thank you parents, love y'all cool people. Yeah, it's just, you know. And then I think the wow part would just be like, wow, y'all were right.
Oh.
Yeah. Because like, so I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I feel like parents used to exaggerate things. Yeah. And yes, they may have exaggerated things, but I feel like the exaggeration was necessary for us to be able to understand the magnitude of like what things really would be. Yeah. And it's like whenever you're out in the real world, like by yourself, like I'm talking about college is like by yourself. I'm talking about like your parents are not in the room with you. They're not in your apartment with you. They're not in your dorm with you. They're not anywhere you are. If you're going city to city, like they're not with you. So it's just like you really are like, oh my gosh, like my parents really talked about this and that, and I'm seeing this and that happen. And it's just like, wow, like y'all were right. Like the world is crazy, life is crazy, life is expensive, life is scary.
Heavy
on expensive.
But no, I would say thank you and wow, but this is kind of a different viewpoint, just because I feel like my thank you is more of like, thank you, you strengthened me. Because not everybody's parents is like Dina's parents. Like, those words, like, they really do get to your head. And I just feel like the healing process, first off, you need to accept that there's trauma from being brought up like that. And then actually work to heal. Because if you don't work to heal, you're just burning that stuff under. Like, it really comes back to bite you in the butt. But thankfully, I've learned how to deal with those things, you know, heal from it. And it's actually, like, I say thank you because I feel like those things have strengthened me to be the person I am today. Like, I feel like the way I move, the way I walk, the way I talk is because I was put through those hard situations. So it's just like, you know, thanks guys. Because I don't know how I would turn out if I was just, you know, I don't want to say babied or like, I don't know, I just feel like it's for me, and I feel like it's different per person. But for me, like, it takes that rough, like, it takes that rough, you know, for things to get to my head, like, for me to actually listen. And No, I wouldn't say even for me to listen, because if there's a way you can approach someone and then they're receptive of it, and I feel like that's the only thing as African parents, like, it's just the way on how
the delivery.
Because, yeah, the delivery, because we're in a new culture, we're in a new society. It's the 21st century.
21st? Is it still the 21st? I feel, wait, what? After 2020, didn't it turn the 22nd century?
I don't know.
If that's not true,
we're in whatever century. It's 2023. It's 2023.
Whatever century we're in, right? Y'all know the year we in.
Yeah. So things have changed. So the way, culturally back then, maybe that used to work, but now, absolutely not. So I'm not here to talk about parenting, but I'm just saying,
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie though, before we get off the topic of parenting, what you talked about delivery, like delivery is very important. Yeah. And not even with like parents, I'm talking about like with everything, because 9 times out of 10, like as far as parenting goes, like they're trying to tell you the right thing, they're trying to say the right thing. It's just like the way that you're saying it is like, why are you shouting? Because now I'm not gonna be receptive.
Exactly.
Why are you shouting? Why are you yelling? Why are you screaming? Like, you're right in front of me. We're in the same building, we're in the same house. Like, why are you shouting? Like, you could actually like whisper it to me and I'll probably hear you better.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, now I can't be receptive, which is like
and it's like, I know you love me, I know you care for me, and that's why you're doing all the yelling.
Yeah.
But like, if I never hear you say those words, is my brain, even if I want to believe it, me, myself, my physical body, mentally,
you're not gonna
my brain's not gonna associate all that yelling with love.
Yeah.
That's not what love looks like. But thank you, because I'm strong.
Period. My strong. Don't play.
And then the wow, definitely, like you said, like they're right, especially like about church. The fact that I even made a Christian podcast is like, so crazy, because I just feel like growing up, church did not mean that much to me. Like, it did not mean, like, I was trying to escape every chance I got. Like, even
Escape?
No, literally, like, whenever I was old enough to drive, like, I'll literally be like, bro, I'm not going to church today. But it's okay.
Nah, escape is crazy.
God help me.
Yeah, God got her.
Just like, even prayer meetings, like, we used to have prayer meetings in the morning, and I would just sleep extra. Even if I woke up on time, I'm like, I have to sleep, so I missed the meeting. And now I'm taking myself to prayer meetings in college.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my mom, and I was just like, coming to college really helped me like understand my faith for myself. Because if you really think about it, like whenever you're at home and it's like, okay, Sunday church, Wednesday church, like it becomes a routine, and it's just like, I'm low-key doing this because my parents want me to, or I'm going because my parents want me to go. And it's less of like okay, like I know who God is to me, I know what he did for me, and I'm gonna stand on that, and that's why I want to go to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. And granted, like I'm not saying that when I was living at home, I didn't really understand who God was, but I think it was more of a thing where it was like, okay, like if I don't go to church, like my mom is gonna get on me. Like there's no way that I'm in the same house with my parents and it's like, oh, I'm staying home. Like that just did not fly, and it was never going to fly for them. Ever. And it's not even like I didn't want to go to church either. I think it was just a thing where like whenever you're young, like I sometimes even struggle with this right now. It's like it can be a little awkward to want to give your all, because like nobody else in your age bracket, or like nobody else that's like your peer is doing that. With your image of like, I don't want to call it hardcore, but like the devoted, the people who are like, their whole being is like being a Christian. Like it's usually, you see adults, older people, like it's very hard to see people your age like doing that. Which is why the conversation I was having with my mom was like, I'm really like in it. Like I came to school and it's just like nobody's forcing me to go to church every Sunday. Nobody's forcing me to be part of a Bible study ministry on my campus. Nobody's forcing me to be a leader of that ministry on my campus. Like it's just like everything is like for my own, like for myself, like because when your mom can call you on Sunday, oh, how was church? You go to church today? Good. And the whole time you didn't even go.
Yeah. Oh.
It's just like
Imagine.
It's just like literally, like if you think about it, nobody's forcing. Your mom is not next to you while you're at school saying you need to do this, you need to do that, make sure you go to church, make sure you find a church, make sure you get up on Sunday, make sure you don't oversleep. Because it's just like once you go off into the real world, it's like your brain, what you decide to do, that's all you got. Nobody's forcing you to do anything, which is why it's like I'm not gonna say I'm surprised with myself, but it's a really good thing, I will say, that's like me wanting to do things like that are of God, me wanting to do things for my faith, for myself, like because I know who God is to me, like that's growth. That's growth. Like, and it still is kind of hard to like give my all. It's a daily process, but it's just like dude, you have to let go of so many things. You have to let go of like yourself, basically. Like you have to die to yourself and just let God take the wheel, like literally the wheels of your life. Like and it's so hard, especially being in college. Like just the atmosphere of college, it doesn't give the vibe of like just like oh my gosh, I be trying. And granted, like I feel like I'm doing my best, because I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm doing my best. That doesn't mean my best is gonna be the best, but it's my best. And it's just like I'm proud of myself, you know, because it's just hard, because I feel like my perspective is that like people see me like living for God, and then it's just like, oh, but like doesn't she do that, and doesn't she do this? Like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna think I'm literally a hypocrite. They're gonna think I'm crazy because on Sundays I'm at church lifting my hands, crying, praising God, going down to the altar, jumping, shouting, dancing, praying. But it's just like, dang, like girl, you just saw me at a party on Friday. You just saw me on Saturday. Like, what do I do now? You got me. But it's like I'm bringing that shame to myself, and who's to say that someone is even doing that? Like they may even be like encouraged by me because of the fact that they see me even trying to like get like live for Christ. Like even though like we're at the same event, but like you're not at church on Sunday. So it's like, oh my gosh, they're like, wow, like maybe I should ask Dina like this and that, like you know, what makes her, you know? And the whole time in my head I'm like, oh my gosh, they gonna think I'm crazy for doing that. Because that's really the only thing. Because like, man, Jesus, that's my guy. That's my guy. And it's just like I want to live for him, and I'm trying my best to live for him. But
I just feel like, oh man, so much to unpack, but I feel like the one main thing you need to remember is like God sees your heart. God sees that you're trying. So you might have been at that party on Friday, but just try and go to church. Like God sees that you got up and tried, because it's a step higher than what was done yesterday or last week or last month or your last college year. Like as long as you freshman year you didn't pray, sophomore year try praying. Like God sees that effort, that extra try of you like actually trying to pursue him and pursue his will. And literally the Bible says seek God first and the rest will follow, right? Seek the kingdom first, the rest will follow. So as long looking for God, just literally being in his presence, worship, praying, the rest will follow. Like God will, if there's something in your life that needs to be changed, God will change a habit, a behavior, something you know, like, dang, I really should have been doing this. This doesn't honor God. Like, God is taking care of that. He's renewing your mind. He's changing you. And it's just like, you can't be afraid of the change.
You can't.
You can't be afraid of the change. Like, it's going to happen. And just trust that when it does, you have people to walk with you through the journey. Like we go through the same thing. We go through the same thing. The campus ministries, there's people, even if it's not one of us, try to go to a campus ministry, like they got people that are walking through the same thing.
And the thing is, even if you're like somebody who's like not really struggling in the aspect of like giving their all. Like adults, old people, they still have struggles. Like they literally still say like everybody sins. Like they still have struggles that they're dealing with too. It may not be the same as like a typical student, but like they still have struggles too. So like nobody is perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. And to go back to what Armelle was saying about like if you have something that you want to be taken away, like a habit, this and that, like honestly, if you really just like ask God, like please, like, you know, because he listens, okay? It's just like you have to actually try to be actively trying to like make that change, because faith without works is dead. You can't just be like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I believe that I'm gonna be able to stop doing this, but like you're not like trying. Like it's different if you're like you're not trying at all, and then like you try, you fail, you try, you fail, because you're trying, and God sees that you're trying. So it's just like, you have to try.
Just try.
You have to try.
Just try. Even if the prayer is as little as God help me.
Yeah.
Like
that's the best prayer you can pray.
Literally.
God help me.
Yeah. Because he knows the strength you need. He knows like everything. And he's there to arms wide open to welcome you in.
Literally.
Like,
that's the thing, like,
you know, that actually leads me to this next question. But what would your response be to defeat? Because I feel like lots of times as college students, even with pursuing our walk with God, our relationship with God, you feel defeated. Like, dang, I messed up again. Dang, I sinned again. And there's like shame and guilt with that. And you know, shame and guilt is not from God. So I hope you know that. But just to feel defeated, like, even if it's not with your walk with Christ, with the simple goals you set yourself, like 2023 started a month ago, you know, everybody has their goals, their, you know, resolutions, and it's like February, and it's like, dang, I didn't really accomplish much in January.
I'm a victim.
Yeah.
I'm a victim.
Same.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, the year did go by fast, but yeah. My response to defeat, honestly, is like defeat. Like, okay, before I get into like, you know, the nitty gritty, like my response literally is like the feeling of defeat. Like, I feel so silly. I feel so silly. Like, oh my gosh, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I said I was gonna do this, I didn't do that. I said I was gonna only listen to worship music this whole week. I'm over here playing Gunna in the back. Like, girl, like, what is you doing? But I just be feeling defeated for like 30 seconds. Then I be feeling like, okay, like, you know, God gives me grace. So let's regroup and let's get back on track. Whenever I do like fall back into like my habitual ways that I'm trying to break and all that stuff, like I really just ask God for more grace. My saving grace is like music, like for real. Like I'll listen to songs that talk about like the situation that I'm like defeated on or whatever, and then the encouragement aspect is just like, okay, like, bro, like God already said that it was done, so it's gonna be done. Like, even if I'm messing up on this and that, like I literally know that I can just get back on track. Like, bruh, the walk with God is not one straight
path.
It's not. It's really not. And like I feel like people kind of assume or think that it is, so they feel like, oh my gosh, like they have to get everything right whenever they're like, you know, trying to live for God and all that stuff. But it's just like, that's just not the reality. Like, bruh, you're gonna face defeat so many times, and it's just like when you respond with feeling defeated, just get out of it. Just get out of it. You have to get out of it. Get up.
Get up.
Get up. Honestly, the feeling of defeat should not last long, and it doesn't last long, because I do feel encouraged that God is gonna help me. He's gonna give me grace. He's gonna give me mercy. Whatever I messed up on, whatever I did that I said I wasn't gonna do, whatever I fell back into, it's just like, who's to say that I can't fall back into that 10 more times and get up 10 more times? Like, I just feel like when it comes to defeat, that's one of the things that probably get people like into like deep holes.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, because not everybody can just get up.
Yeah.
Not everybody can just have the mindset of, oh my gosh, like, you know, God sees my heart, God is gonna help me, God forgives me. Some people are just like, oh my gosh, like, this is the end of the world. Like, I literally feel so defeated. I messed up. I was on track for 3 months and then I slipped up. I did this for 2 weeks and I slipped up. Like, not everybody has that mindset. So I just feel like it's a situation where, like, you really need to be praying about it. Like, that's where prayer comes in, and it's just like, all right, God, like, please give me the grace. Like, even if I do mess up, you know, he knows everything. He knows when you're gonna mess up again. He knows if you're going to mess up again. It's just like, you literally, it's about the heart. Like, just, God, please help me, give me the strength to not mess up again. Not even like, you can say, God, help me to not mess up, but it's like, give me the strength to, like, get back up when I do mess up. So that's just one of those where it's like, yeah, defeat is inevitable. You're going to have defeat, period, in anything, in academics, in relationships, in friendships, in personal goals, personal life, hobbies, businesses, like careers. You're gonna have defeat, bro. Like, this life, you know, get balance. Like, life has zero balance. Like, what? You're gonna have defeat, but it's just about how you handle it, how you end up, like, just getting back up, trying to get back up.
Yeah, I feel like with defeat, lots of people are like, I tried Jesus once, that's it. I'm done. Like, I done tried this Christian thing and it's not working, so.
Bro, me and Armelle were just talking about how, like, okay, because obviously the year just started. So people set New Year's resolution. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna lose 30 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm gonna lose 100 pounds this year. I'm gonna open a business this year. I'm gonna make the dean's list. I'm gonna start a hair business. I'm gonna do this and that. I'm gonna have a better relationship with my mom. I'm gonna, like, it's just New Year's resolutions. Every December 31st of the last year, everybody gets to write and everybody gets to plot, and what am I gonna do in this next year that is gonna elevate and change my life?
And then what happens when you don't do it?
What happens when you don't do it? Defeat.
Like,
you feel defeated,
right? Because you can't just expect, like, you walk into New Year 2023 and all your habits from 22 is gonna change. Like, you're still the same person. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed was the clock.
Oh, hello.
Like,
hello.
You're like, you really have to actually be real with yourself and be like, am I actually capable? If I didn't work out a day in 2022, what makes me think I can get up and work out every single day in January? Like, that's not gonna happen. You have to be realistic with yourself and be like, okay, these are the habits I've created. Let me break these habits so that I can reach this goal that I'm trying to reach. And yes, you can give yourself a timeline, but also be realistic with the timeline. A month is not enough to break habits. Like, you can't
give yourself 30 days to lose 100 pounds.
Right, it's not real. So, like, just be real with yourself, especially when defeat comes, because it's like the people that are like, oh, I'm never trying God again. Do you know how many times people had to think about Job? Like, the worst of the worst happened to him,
girl,
and he stayed faithful. Like, he said, so
and God gave him more than he had to begin with. That's what happens when you just stay consistent. Like, bro, like, God is just like, oh my gosh, just give me one chance. I promise I'm gonna change your life. Like, give me one more chance. He got you. But New Year's resolutions, like, literally, when it comes to, like, not hitting your New Year's resolutions, it just stems from the fact that, like, you didn't really base it on anything. You didn't ask for help from God for your New Year's resolution. You're just putting out New Year's resolution. It's just like, you're not, like, taking your visions and your resolutions to God in prayer. Like, honestly, everything stems back to prayer. Like, if you're trying to accomplish anything, like, pray about it, pray over it. And me personally, I kind of stopped having New Year's resolutions because it wasn't working out for me. So I started doing, like, vision boards and prayer boards, and it kind of changed my mindset because of the fact that, like, if I'm consistently praying about something, that doesn't mean it's going to happen in 365 days.
Yeah.
It can happen. I can have something on my vision board. I can have something that I want to accomplish for myself, write it on my vision board in January of 2023, and it'll happen in August of 2025. Yeah. But because I wrote it on a vision board, because I have a vision and I wrote it on my prayer board, like I'm consistently praying about it, and whenever it comes to pass is whenever it comes to pass. Yeah. I'm not limiting like myself and like, okay, I need this to happen in December of 2023. It's just like whenever it happens, it happens. And as long as I'm being consistent about making sure that it can happen and I'm working towards it, like eventually it'll happen. Like the verse in Habakkuk that says, write the vision and make it plain. Even the Bible tells you, the Bible says itself. Yeah. Like, nobody's saying that you can't ask for anything again. Nobody's saying that you should just be like, I'm just gonna hope that God does what I want. Like, literally the Bible says to write the vision and make it plain. Like, write down what you would want out of your life, like what you want to see, and make it plain. Yeah. God knows what you're gonna write. Like, just be consistent in it. Be consistent in prayer. Like, you have to tie that back to your resolutions, praying over your resolutions. Eventually it's gonna happen. You can't put a time limit on when it's gonna happen, but it will happen for you eventually.
Yeah. And I say, like, don't limit God, because you want things to happen in a year. What the things that God will arrange in it. I mean, God can do anything, but like if you give it time, it's just how great could something big that God's planning for you be 5 years from now than 1 year from now. Yeah. Like, things are still in development. He's still growing things. He's still arranging things you can't even see, things you don't even know about. But that's what faith is. Like, God's faith is believing. Things. Yeah, faith is believing in the unseen, the unknown. So you don't know what God is doing. You don't know what time he's gonna fulfill whatever vision you have, but you just gotta trust and believe that it's gonna happen. And don't limit him. Be like, God, if this doesn't happen in 6 months, I'm done with you. And 6 months later, you're like,
you can't do that one.
You can't
do that one.
You can't. So it's like, don't limit the Creator, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Like, no hustle.
He can end up doing bigger than what you like. You can ask him for something, he gonna double it and more, triple it even. Yeah. Cause it's just like he's gonna be like, oh, you asking for this? That ain't nothing.
Look at what I have.
Look at what I have for you. Oh my gosh, that like, what is your response to like when you have to wait, like, and it's just like, this can be for anything, like when you have to wait and it's just, oh my gosh, like I want this to happen now, I want this to happen in the next year. Why hasn't this happened yet to me? Everybody else is doing this and it's just like not me. Like it seems like I'm the only one. Like, what is your response to that?
I'd say my response to it, well, let's talk about what my response used to be. My response used to be like, okay, I'm tired, and give up on that vision. Like, when I tell y'all, I wanted to start podcasting since when? I was young. I was in like middle school when I started YouTube. Yeah, like
your old YouTube video is like 8th grade.
Yeah, my old YouTube video is 8th grade, and it's like, after I didn't see the results I wanted, I was like, okay, I guess this is not what God has for me. And it's like, you can't give up too easy. You can't give up too soon. So in the waiting season, I've learned to build, like, make sure I'm improving myself, because I know that if I'm bettering myself, I'm well prepared for what God has for me. Because God can very much put you in a big position, but because you're not developed, you're not ready, you're not going to be able to handle it. You lose it just like that. How many people get they win $1 million in the lottery and then they're bankrupt within the next year because they were given too much more than they can handle? And I know what I expect from God, and I know I want it to be big. So I know I need to make sure that me, myself, I'm developed enough. I know I can handle big. I know when it gets time to get in lots of comments, criticism, hate comments, how am I going to deal with that? Right. When it comes to a time where people want to collab in different areas, how am I going to discern I should collab with this person, I shouldn't collab with this person. When it comes to even receiving revenue from the things I do, I need to be able to know like how to manage money, even who to hire if I want to make layers a big thing. So it's just like your waiting season should be constant development. You should constantly working on yourself just so that you're that person that God wants you to be. And the way I do this, because you might be like, okay, how do I work on myself? It could be as simple, just like Dina said, prayer is so important. So me working on myself is literally writing in my prayer journal, like, God, I need help with this. I know I need to break this habit in order to move this area. So God, help me with this. God, let me, or like I have a gratitude journal as well. So as like I could be praying for all these things. I want this, I need this, God, this, but you're supposed to enter his gates with thanksgiving. It says pray without ceasing, and then also with thanksgiving and like, yes. So you always have to have that gratitude, like, God, I want you to take me here, but I'm also thankful for where I'm at right now. I'm thankful for this waiting season. I'm thankful that you're building me and creating me to be this great person later on. Like, Thanksgiving always comes first in my prayers. Like, I always, because you have to recognize what you have before God puts you, because he could give you more and you think it's nothing. We're in a society where, like, nothing is ever enough. You can never be fulfilled with anything. And I want to be in a place where, like, God, I'm happy where I'm at. Even if you leave me here, God, I'm just happy because you're a gracious Father. Like, you have sustained me. You've rescued me. You've saved me. Like, God has done more than enough for us. The fact that we're even here, we're able to sin every day and still have a seat in heaven. Like, that's more than enough. So I have to be thankful. I have to be like, God, just thank you, man.
God,
thank you.
Just thank you.
I'm happy. Like, you have to be able to be happy with where you're at, if you want to even move forward. So I feel like for me, that's what my waiting season looks like Thanksgiving and development.
I completely agree with that. Like, when it comes to like how I used to respond, it was definitely like the, oh my gosh, like, like, me, why me again? Like, it's just a whole lot of questioning. It's just like, oh my god, you start to question yourself, question like, oh my gosh, like, is this not meant for me? Is this not like, is that not like, you know, the pathway? But it's just like, sometimes God is not going to give you a yes or no. I'm talking about like, you have to wait and wait and wait until it's like confirmation that it's like, oh my gosh, like, that's my answer. And that can be hard, especially like as humans. Like, dude, living in society, like, we're gonna be impatient. We're gonna be like, oh my gosh, like, comparing, like, this is happening to these people, this is not happening to me. Oh my gosh, these people are doing this and I've been praying about it, but it's yet to happen for me. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, you have to realize that, like, God is all knowing. There's a reason why he has not given that to you yet. Maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe he's waiting. He's just waiting for something to just hand it all to you. And it's just like, bro, like, I got you, bro. Like, I got you. Like, you knew I had you. It's just, I got your back. But yeah, like, it really just comes to you, like, realizing, like, okay, like, there is a reason why this has not happened for me yet. And granted, the answer might be because it's not for you. Not everything that you're asking for and praying for is for you. And that is so, like, I mean, I'm still learning that, and I'm still trying to realize that, like, literally not everything that everybody else has is for you. Not every circumstance, situation, every good and nice thing that they have, something else could be for you. And that's just the reality. Like, you really have to be like, okay, like, I really need to take a step back and just allow God to do his thing. I can't be trying to rush things. I can't be trying to do things on my own just because I want it so bad. Like, if God didn't, if it's not for you, it's not for you.
It's not for you.
And that's okay sometimes. It's really hard for me to grasp, but that's okay sometimes.
It's okay. It's okay. I feel like you should also be comfortable with asking God to show you, kind of like I said earlier, like, literally in a prayer, ask God, what do you need me to do? Like, what is my life supposed to look like? Because you might think that your life is supposed to look one way and you keep praying for that thing, but everything that God does is according to his will. So if your vision is not aligned with his will, obviously it's not going to happen. So you need to be able to say that prayer to say, like, God, what is your will? What do you want from me? What is my life supposed to look like? And then once you get that response, be okay with it. If you're not okay with it, ask God to help you be okay with it. Like, that's what your life is supposed to look like.
To help you be
so
okay with
you
it,
have to be like, God, like, this is my lifestyle. Let me just accept it. Let me just accept it because I don't know what you can do with this. Like, God created you to be that person because there's potential there. Like, we're all called to build his kingdom. And we're not all going to do that the same way. Like, me and Dina might be behind the camera. You could be building the kingdom in surgical rooms. Like,
girl, you could be
surgery. Like,
yeah, you could be a nurse.
Yeah.
Maybe that's your ministry. Like,
yeah.
God wants
your
you
ministry
to
doesn't
talk
have to
to
be
people, your patients.
Yeah.
And that's just what you're gonna do.
Yeah. Your ministry doesn't even have to be church. You can be an attendee to church, but not everybody is on the platform at church singing, preaching,
everybody
whatever.
Be a pastor.
Like, no, that's not. Living for God doesn't mean you become a pastor. Like,
everybody
you can serve God in other ways.
A deacon, a worship leader.
I could serve God at HEB.
Man, what?
Like,
girl,
like,
bro, I was at HEB and this one man gave me a gift card for being a college student. I was like, yeah, God bless you. Like, yeah, my groceries was paid for that day. But it's just like, it's little stuff like that. It's like, you really see like the goodness of God. Like, just in every, bro, God is in the details. Like, literally even that day, I was like, oh my gosh, I really don't feel like going to the grocery store because it's like, I don't even feel like spending money right now. That was a conversation I had in my head with myself. Random man, he could have gone to anybody in the store. I'm talking about God is always in the details. That's just always. It's just, it makes life worth living. It's like, wow, God, I love you.
So I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you guys tuned in.
Thank you guys for listening. I honestly love doing this. I really feel like a podcast babe. Like, period. Yeah, I've never been on a podcast before, so this is my first time. But also, this is her first time on my channel, so like, it's like a crossover episode. So like, if you listen to her podcast, my YouTube is goddesssdi, goddesssdi. Go subscribe so you can watch us.
Yes, watch because the
instead of listening to us talk. Yeah, the facial expressions really make up like what's going on.
If you're missing something, just watch the video.
Yeah, but no, I'm so grateful like that you allowed me to do this. Like, thank you.
Of course, Kelly. I loved having you.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all later. Hopefully I can do more of these. I love this episode, so please, I'm literally, when you post it, I'm about to go listen to the whole thing like I haven't heard it before. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching again. I'll see y'all when I see y'all, and that's it for today.